I know my death is probably coming sooner than I like, but I have a lot of living that I want to do still. And so how do I enjoy that? And psilocybin has allowed me to do that.
After being told that she had little over a year left to live due to cancer, Abbotsford resident Laurie Brooks turned to psilocybin therapy, specifically magic mushrooms.
I did my first psilocybin trip in October of 2019. The next day I saw my therapist and he asked me how I was feeling. I said, well, I see my cancer in a box beside me on the floor. It's not this black cloud hanging over me anymore. It's on the floor. He said, wow, that would take 10 years of therapy to get somebody to that spot, and you're there in 6 hours.
The use of psychedelic mushrooms became illegal in Canada in 1974. Laurie is one of 4 Canadians who have become the first to be exempt from this ruling since then.
Psilocybin is the active agent in what most people would understand to be magic mushrooms. What we like to say, it's a mind manifester. So the communication of the brain under the influence of psychedelic agents break patterns of behavior and thought that have been intractable for years, allowed mood to elevate. There's just wonderful kind of outcomes that come from this done in a certain way.
So they put eye shades so everything is in your head. And then there's a playlist. A lot of heavy classical music that was, and I remember that part of my trip being in these scary places, and that's when I had to deal with all of the really tough stuff. And I felt like I was back on this beach in Maui where these big waves come rolling in and I kept getting knocked over. And I'd just stand up and another one would come and knock me over, and it was just all the grief and pain that I was working through. And eventually they got less and less and less, and I was able to let it all go. And then later on, it was much lighter. There was a few Beatles songs and just happier music near the end. We were at this clearing, and then the lights started coming up, and I went, oh, this is beautiful. And I felt just warm and at peace.
There's people that worry about death all the time, but until you're actually faced with it and have to deal with that emotion and how that affects you, how it's going to affect your children, well, that's a lot of fear and it's a lot of anxiety. But man, after this thing, she just came out of it and went, I'm good, I'll get through it.
It made all the difference for me going through cancer the second time and now facing it a third time. One of the things that I've always said is we have the right to die in Canada, but what about living? I don't want to die yet.
With mounting evidence as to the positive effects of psilocybin, it's clear that many are now researching the medicine of mushrooms. Dean Atwal in Abbotsford.